Hello, hello.
Hello.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to our podcast. This is Daughter Mama Dialogue. My name is Caira.
And I'm her mom, Cat.
Yes. So, this is a podcast where our purpose is just to share our meaningful conversations and to encourage conversations between mothers and daughters. So definitely, we want to get your feedback on our YouTube page or on, like this podcast to get other people aware. We just want some engagement. We want you guys to engage and, all of that jazz. But, exactly. So today's episode, we're talking about does it matter what they think, basically? Right? So
it matter.
Yeah. So I know for me, part of the reason why I was interested in talking about this because there have been, there are so many different instances where it seems like people's opinions about others' lives, they think people always have opinions, but it's just interesting because people will have something negative to say about what you've done without knowing anything about your story, about anything about your background or your intentions about anything, right? So I just thought this was something interesting.
Yeah, I agree. You hit the nail on the head. I feel the same way. It sometimes when we worry a lot about what other people think, it kind of is almost suffocating sometimes. You can't do or act in a way that's really true to you. That sounds really broad, though. I don't like the way I said that. But I guess go ahead.
Well, yeah, I think sometimes it can be a hindrance to, if you're so focused on worried about how other people perceive whatever you're doing, and it's about something that you like perhaps or you're interested in, then that could be more of a hindrance. But we're not talking about specifically about people who are like, say, I don't know, whose opinion really matters, as far as like, if you're an artist and you're like and you have like and you're apprenticing, you have an apprenticeship to some master artist or whatever. Like, of course, their opinion would matter, obviously, because they are the masters of their trade. You're trying to learn from them, maybe do your own thing, but with your own twist to it. But in that sense, that would matter. But we're talking about more so like people who don't know nothing, as I mentioned, about your story, had no connection to you, and they just take a little bit of information and they just like,
Yeah, that's, you know what? I think this conversation requires us to look at least two perspectives, right? Like from the perspective of the person, whatever you're doing, you're saying do I care what other people think? They don't know my story, blah, 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 that perspective. And then on the flip side, whatever the opinion is, whoever's looking at that person going, they could be going, or they could be, and when I say, I mean, look at that person. They could be thinking negatively about
you didn't clear that up at all. You just like,
what? Perspective. I'm just saying.
Like that looks ridiculous. Look at that person.
Ridiculous. I'm acting it out. That looks ridiculous. Who do they think they are? Trash, whatever. But we're not even really talking about a specific thing, a specific thing. And I think this conversation is broad, but we have to talk about specific incidences. regardless, the Bible says not to judge, but it also tells us about not, walking down certain paths with someone. Like, you can befriend someone, you can be a light to someone, you can help guide someone down what you think is going to be down what the more appropriate path is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, what I'm trying to specifically say, because that, like you said, it's a broad thing, but I guess more so what I would say, like an instance where people will have like only a little bit of information and then they take it the wrong way, or they like have all these opinions. I say it more commonly happens in social media from like what I'm seeing it as. Like, my thoughts on this came about because I was watching this influencer talk about, she was like basically giving an explanation after she received some backlash. So
about
just to give some context, there was this YouTuber by the name of For Harriet, that's her page name. And so she's been on YouTube for a while, and she has built up a career around it, and she's basically she provides commentary on somewhat on pop culture, but more so it could be about politics and all these different things, so social political topics more so. She's more that type of person. She's a feminist, she's pro-black, she has a lot of commentary about a lot of different things. So on Twitter, apparently she made a joke about and in the Twitter tweet, I mentioned something about a housekeeper, and so and something about payment by housekeeper. She said all of a sudden she received this backlash from people who didn't even seem like they had like real profile pictures, so we don't even know if these are real people or people who making fake accounts just to troll people basically, but they were probably real people too. They were talking about, oh my goodness, why would you even have a housekeeper, and it's a pandemic, and that's basically modern day slavery. Like, they had all these opinions about it. And there was a piece about the pandemic and like being safe, and there was that. I can see what they were saying, but then she explained in her backstory how part of the reason why she did this, like the reason why she has a housekeeper, and yes, she has that privilege of having a housekeeper, and it's really like someone coming once a week or once every other week, but the reason why was because she is a hoarder. And it was something that she wasn't like very open about. She wasn't open to like the public about. But, she felt like this was the only way for her to be able to combat it, because it had gotten so bad. So that was the story, basically.
Wow. But what I got from that was sometimes it is important to share your story, share more of your story, right? I mean,
but the thing is, I get it. Sometimes it's good to be transparent, but everyone did not need to know about like she made the decision to share about her struggle, and I guess to kind of say like, it was important to her to explain that. And even though she said it was really nobody's business, but she wasn't trying to be callous in the fact that callous in light of the pandemic, to the fact that she had someone coming into her home to clean her home. It wasn't like she just did it just because she had money. This was like something that affected her mental health. It was connected to her mental health. And like
I get a word. Get a word.
I'm trying to explain. Let me explain what I was trying to say.
Still, I don't know. I don't mean to cut you off. No, I appreciate it.
But okay.
But at my age, if I don't get to say what I need to say, within a certain period of time, I might forget and move on to something else. In fact, it's not an age thing. It's always been like that. Like, let me just say one thing. Okay, let's take it in chunks. I need things in chunks. So I don't know if I'm ADHD or whatever. I just need things in chunks. But, hello?
I'm here.
Sorry. What I'm getting from that is when you advertise something about your life, you're putting it out there for a reason. And first of all, on social media, people are advertising whatever they're saying, they're putting it out there for other people to engage in it. Right? I think that's the whole thing. So it's kind of like if I'm putting my information or whatever it is out there for people to engage in it, I can't control how they engage in it. And I think if they don't like it, I should probably prepare my mind for how I'm going to respond.
Yeah.
I mean, am I putting it out there for somebody not to like it and I curse them out or, say something negative back to them? Am I putting it out there just for them to engage so that I can respond in a positive manner or manner where I'm educating them rather than judging their response? We have to think about, and that goes back to the point, worrying about what other people care. Well, if we're doing this in front of other people, maybe we do worry about what other people care. I mean, if other people care, we want them to see us, but we still can't control their response.
You can't control other people's responses. For me, at least in that example, it was just an example of how it's an easy thing for people to jump on to the fact that she had a housekeeper, or not a housekeeper, but have someone clean her home every period of time. But it was like a legitimate reason, same as like any other situation where say people talk about how, or people who gain a lot of weight, and they're like, oh, you don't work out, you're lazy. You don't know that person can have like health issues. So it's just the fact that like people have like one small piece of information, and they assume like, and I do it too, like all of us do it, like assume so much.
But then you said some key words there. One small bit of information. Yeah. And the person putting out the information is controlling the information. So I think it's really important to be accountable, hold ourselves accountable for the type of information that we put out there, whether it's on social media, or we have to hold ourselves accountable for how we conduct ourselves around other people. We can't put all of the blame on other people because we all have to be accountable for our actions. Yeah. It's just that sometimes, we can't all see and know everything. And we're going to assume certain things until we hear the rest of the story. I think it makes it really easy to make assumptions, but maybe we could take a step further, be a little bit braver. And if we can't approach that person, try to get a better feel for who they are and what they're doing.
Yeah.
It's about what I just said.
It's funny because to that point, for her, I guess it would, like, whatever she says or does, I guess in this flipped instance, it matters to more people. So people are going to have a bigger response because she's on a raised platform. And not only is she on a raised platform, but like what her platform is that she is a socio-political, I would say socio-political, cultural, in a way, commentator. She comments on stuff. So, like, of course, it'll be like, oh, you have all this to say, but then
Yeah.
you do A, B, and C. And so she acknowledged the fact that, yeah, there are things that she disagree with and things that she does that other people will disagree with. And, yeah, but yeah, I guess it's in that instance, it doesn't matter what other people think. In that instance, I guess it mattered because she is on a large platform, and they didn't, and because she was on the platform that she usually like have so much to say, then I guess that's why she felt moved to explain herself. But that's not always the case for everything. Like, having to explain yourself.
Yeah. I when you were can't talk today. When you were saying that, I thought, in our culture of today, we are trying to, and at least in the media, we talk about being more inclusive. And really, when you think about it, when you ask yourself, does it matter what other people think? Is that being inclusive? It's like you almost have to just really think about your thoughts. You have to really analyze your thoughts and
wait, what?
Ask yourself. I know. I'm thinking I'm going too far. I'm saying, okay, on one hand, our topic is about whether it matters what other people think. Yeah, it does matter. I'm just going to say that. Yeah, it does matter what other people think. Whether we appreciate it or not can be another story. But it does matter what other people think. It matters. It actually helps shape who we are.
I think it really depends on, we were kind of talking about this earlier. I think it really just depends on the situation, case by case basis. Because on one hand, it matters, like, you have that role model that you have, and you take certain action. If they're disappointing you, that in that instance, that matters. If you did something. But I mean, I guess to a certain extent, like, for people who don't know you, like, how much of it matters. In that lady's case, she had a large platform, so she had to respond in some way. But in general, though, like, people's ideas of what she should and shouldn't do, like, she responded, but that's not going to stop her from doing what's best for her. So I think it's all about motivation and intention.
And also, she's opened herself up to a much greater community than a lot of us experience on a daily basis.
Right.
I could take an example from my own life. There are times when, like, let's just say dancing, because I know we talked about this earlier. There are certain types of dancing, or that some people believe you shouldn't dance at all. But there are certain types of dancing that I don't believe is appropriate to do.
Wait, be more specific. Like, who thinks?
Okay, like I like a variety of different dances. I like urban ballroom. I like ballroom. I like salsa. I like kizomba. And all of those are fun dances. Some are more upbeat. Others. And since you brought up sensual, I was thinking about an experience I had where actually, when I think about it, it wasn't appropriate. But I was invited to an urban ballroom event, and someone asked me to dance, and then asked if I knew kizomba, which I did know something about it. The difference between those dances is one is much closer than the other. Kizomba is a very close contact dance, and it requires both partners, mainly the female, to move her hips around a lot more. And I see that dance is more for, I would think, more for a couple, not just for random people to, dance together. But in the right environment, when you have people who go to the samba dance, everybody's going to probably be dancing closely. So, but this guy asked me if I knew that dance at this urban ballroom dance, and it offended someone.
Yeah.
So, that person made it known that an offense was made. And so we were both saying, no, that's how the dance is. But then at that point you realize, okay, we're going to stop this. We're explaining that's how the dance is done. But then we just stopped and went back to ballroom. So,
yeah.
No, I mean, I think that person realized, just kind of said, oh, okay. But didn't go a step further to say, could you do ballroom? But I think we got that in.
Yeah. I mean,
so it depends on the situation. Once again, seems like I come back to that in just about every conversation.
Yeah, I guess it could be like, yeah, it depends on the situation, and I guess in that situation too is how much you respect that you have for the event itself. Because I feel like, you telling the story, like, it really shouldn't have mattered that y'all dance at that event. Everyone is dancing. It's not the same type of dance, but then again, like, you guys didn't know each other, but people dance together and don't know each other well all the time and do those type of dances. But
yeah,
so I guess it depends on, like, if you respect who you're around enough, like, if it really bothers other people, if that matters to you itself.
Right. And you said something else really important, that it really matters what you know about the relationship that you have with other people really matters. If, for example, that dance had been introduced to everybody in the room before, probably would have been great to do a variety of dances, including kizomba, in that event. But I don't think anybody else had really done it before. So that tells me that we really need to learn about each other, each other's culture, language. I'm all big on learning about other people's livelihoods and appreciating it, trying to appreciate it, but at least learning about it, even if you can't appreciate it.
Yeah. I think it can be hard. I think in order to kind of get a feel of what really matters, if other people's opinions truly matters, it matters about the relationship between who has the opinion and yourself. Like that lady, she actually had a relationship with the community, so what their response is to what she's done mattered to her in that situation. And like, even your situation, like, you're like, you didn't, I mean, not to say like you knew everyone well, or like y'all had to be best buds, but like, that was the community that you were a part of, and you had a certain level of respect for everybody. So I'm trying to think of this, because I was just thinking about myself, like how I tend to think, or I would think a lot about what other people thought about what I did. And for me, it would be like in a physical space. Like, I don't really like to be the center of attention in a physical space. Now, I'm all on social media and all that. That's something different. But in a physical space, like, I'm very careful about what I do. I'm more so like rigid. So
why do you feel that you have to be very careful? Is it what you do or what you say?
It's both. because sometimes
Well,
when
I
I'm
get
too
it.
careful, when I'm too comfortable, like I sometimes don't have as much of a filter.
Mm-hmm.
And then also what in the physical space sometimes, like I'm just like, I don't know, like I feel like I'm gonna embarrass myself.
You know what? When you said that, I was thinking, Caira needs to take a day where she just says, you know what? Forget the filters. I'm just going to say what I think, And, I don't think anybody would be hurt. I think it would open up some very interesting conversations for you because you're not the type of person who would say something purposefully hurtful or anything like that. I think it would just open up people to more of, your personality. What's wrong with that? How are they going to get to know you if you always have this tight filter on everything you say and everything you do?
Well, it's actually something that I've thought about, so it's not like, so I think I'm getting better at it, and of just trying to be as open as possible as I can be. I know for sure I'm more rigid, like at work or at school. I would definitely, like in those situations, I've been more quiet, more like introverted, but also building friendships is really like something that is hard for me. Like I'm usually a little bit more of a guarded person, but at the same time I have tried to step out my comfort zones more. So it is something that I'm working on and trying to like bridge relationships, because like you said, like how is anyone supposed to really know you if you're guarded all the time? And especially if you are someone who's like craving like deeper friendships and all of that, so, or more of them.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I have to work on the same thing, but I have to say that people who've known me for a long time, who I still communicate with, I'm definitely more comfortable saying what.
Hello?
We can sit down and have an open conversation.
You cut out for a second.
Okay.
But it's okay. But no, I understand. So basically you were saying like, the people that you've known for a long time, that you have like an established relationship, whether it's super deep or not, like you are able to, like, you feel comfortable enough to say what you want to say, or be more of yourself, basically.
Yeah, be more of yourself. And again, I mean, it does matter what other people, as far as I'm concerned, in my opinion, it does matter what other people think, but not necessarily more. I have to think about that, but I do try to take into account, that what I say and what I do is not, I want people to get to know who I am and what I'm about, and I don't want to just offend them. Like, I think, first of all, naturally we're going to end up offending other people, period. But it's how we handle it. Can we come back from it and say, oh, no, this is what I meant. I didn't mean, that. And the fact that you stop and do that, I think it says more about your character. If they choose not to be forgiving, then that speaks to their character. So, especially if you're being sincere.
Yeah. Well, before we wrap up, I do have one question for you. I guess you can ask me the question back. Does it matter what I think?
Yes, it does. Yeah. I've decided a long time ago that what you and your sister think does matter to me.
Yeah, and it's the same.
Mm-hmm.
I would say I'm a bit hard-headed. I think just I realize it more and more,
Mm-hmm.
but it does matter to a certain extent. Like I'll challenge the opinion, but then I really do think about it, or even a suggestion. But then sometimes I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Either that, or I'll be like, no. But I do contemplate it. I do contemplate. Oh,
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
I'm glad.
Well,
And I guess I wasn't ready to ask you a question about it, but what do you think you'll do going forward, in terms of how you conduct yourself?
Well, just a quick thing, because we already hit the 30-minute mark, but I try to be, I've gone through trial and error to try to be open with people, to build relationships. And I think one of the biggest things someone recently told me about was a couple of things. One is to water the relationships that you have instead of always focusing on trying to build other ones, because you don't want those to die. There are people in your life already. If there are, then water those. And then second, and maybe it's just a different way of saying it, was someone else told me always try to stay relevant. And what they meant was, like, even if it's just reaching out once in a while, like a call, or show up to an event, or like, it doesn't have to be all the time that you are showing up in other people's lives, but make sure that you are staying relevant, because if you're relevant, then you are on their minds too, and there is more likely that they will reciprocate. So
always learn from your children. Thank you. I appreciated what you said. Really did.
No problem. Well, we are at the end of our episode, so if you guys like this episode, physically like it on Spotify or any of the other platforms, on Anchor, on YouTube, if you're watching on YouTube or listening on YouTube, please like, comment as well. And all of those ways helps us become more noticeable. And you can follow us on our social media channels as well. If you're listening to this on Spotify, you can just follow me or engage with me on my Instagram, Curious Bookster. The word curious, and then BOOKSTER. What about you, Ma?
Okay. Well, I'm on Cleveland. Can't even get it out. Cleveland Cat on Instagram. Cleveland_cat with 2 T's. So before we close out, I just want to say I love you. I always have to say that.
All right, love you too. And you guys, keep having these conversations. All right, we'll see you next episode, you guys. All right. Bye.